Hello, LREA members. It's your president, Teresa Knapp Gordon, and today we're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on in the district regarding sick leave and our educators. So, as you know, or may have heard, educators are being disciplined for using their sick leave. Um, and the rubric is if you have taken 10 to 11 and a half days of sick leave, you get a notice of concern. If you've taken 12 to 15 and a half days, you get a written warning. If you have taken 16 days or more, you get a written reprimand. And if you take absences after that, you are it goes to the next level, suspension without pay, up to and including termination, according to the letters that employees are receiving. We have asked you to send LREA any and all documentation of those disciplinary measures so that we can create a file. We have our legal team looking into this because we maintain that sick leave is a benefit afforded by the state. It is a benefit because you are able to take it from district to district with you if you move districts. You can accumulate up to 90 days. State law governs it, and nothing in the state law precludes you from taking it. As a matter of fact, the state law says that it can be shared between employees, like husbands and wives, and can be put into a sick leave bank for other employees to use. So we maintain that it is a benefit, and obviously if someone is abusing it because they've established a pattern of absence or they're not providing necessary documentation if they've been out 5 consecutive days or things like that, that's an issue that should be taken up with an individual employee. But other than that, those are your days, and they're there for you to use. Now, having said that, the district does not agree with us on some of this, which is why we have asked our legal team to take a look at it and figure out what we can do. Because the district, and this all originated from the state, with the state board meetings, and Diane Zook saying that LRSD had an enormous number of employee absences. Well, when you employ 3,600 people and each one of those people have 10 days they can take a year, yeah, that's probably going to look like an enormous amount of absences. As opposed to a district that has 60 employees. So, so that's what started it all. And then they did an absence audit or attendance audit to figure out exactly how many days were being missed. But the interesting thing is when you look at the rest of the state, Little Rock actually does better on attendance than a lot of the other districts in the state. So that was probably a shocker for them once they had that done. So what are you supposed to do? Well, first of all, if you're on FMLA is protected leave, and it's protected by federal law. So you should not be receiving discipline for using FMLA leave. Now, some employees have told us that they have received discipline even while being on FMLA leave. If that is you, you need to contact Gwen Combs immediately, 501-400-0090, because that's illegal. And other employees have told us that they've received written reprimands or written warnings. We need those documents as well, so we can, like I said, compile a file. What the district is maintaining is that any 3 separate occurrences of absences within a 30-day period will be considered excessive. What that means is you could take 3 days this week and 2 days next week, and you wouldn't be considered excessive because that's only 2 occurrences. However, if you took 3 days this week and 2 days next week and 3 days the next week, that would be considered excessive regardless of how many days you have. And that would trigger the disciplinary action. The problem is that they're not following their own policy. So we maintain that because sick leave is a negotiated item and it's covered in the P&A, that no other rules should apply to it, just like personal leave. And we will continue to maintain that. In the meantime, do yourself a favor, and if you have to be out on a regular basis, say you have to go get allergy shots, or you're having to go have a treatment, or see the doctor on a weekly basis, something like that, apply for intermittent FMLA. That protects you when you have to be out and keeps you from being disciplined. Your doctor has to fill out some paperwork, and the paperwork is available online or through the Human Resources Office, and you just need to ask for the paperwork for intermittent leave. It has a box. It's the same paperwork as for FMLA, regular FMLA. It just has a box at the top that you need to mark that says intermittent, and that allows you to take the time you need to take care of yourself and ensure that you're healthy, without having to worry about being written up. And we've been putting articles in the last couple of in the Knows regarding intermittent FMLA leave. The other problem with the disciplinary sanctions that the district is imposing is that we didn't negotiate those. They were never implemented at the earlier levels of progressive discipline. So some people, their first disciplinary measure may be a written warning or a written reprimand. And so that's not following the rules of progressive discipline, which were negotiated as part of due process. So rest assured that we are working on it. I promise you, we're looking at every possible option we can use to protect you. In the meantime, be smart, protect yourself. If you have to be out, get a doctor's excuse, use intermittent FMLA if it's more than 3 days, or FMLA, and that just is there to protect you. That's all it is. You can apply for FMLA, regular FMLA, if you have to be out more than 3 days. Now, if you're going to be out, let's say you have the flu and the doctor says stay home, you go on Monday and he says you have the flu and you stay home the rest of the week, you probably don't really need FMLA leave for that. You can apply for it if you want to, though, because it will protect you from discipline. But a doctor's excuse will suffice on that. And we're trying to look at every individual case and what the situation is and what the disciplinary measure is, because they're applying this as a blanket policy instead of looking at individual cases. So do send us those letters that you're getting for discipline, and we will be in touch to find out what the specific circumstances are surrounding your absenteeism is. But like I said, just be careful until we get this sorted out, and make sure that you're taking the necessary measures to protect yourself, such as intermittent FMLA or FMLA, while we're doing that. In addition, people are being written up for tardies. Anybody that gets to work 10 minutes late or more is considered tardy. And if you're tardy 3 times in a 30-day period, you're going to be considered excessive, and same thing will happen. You'll get a written warning, written reprimand, and so on and so forth. So plan ahead. I know we're all tired. I know it's testing season. I know that the spring fever is setting in with the kids, so know that we appreciate you and that we're doing everything we can to protect you. And hang in there. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.